Welcome to another game of Free-for-All Commander. This time we are using a budget deck list submitted to us by our friends at Budget MTG Decks. Check out their vid where they deck tech Marchesa the Black Rose here, or later in the video description. We understand if you're busy. This game, it is me playing Marchesa versus Josh playing my Nekusar the Mindrazer deck, and Nancy again playing Azusa Lost but Seeking. It matches her nails. We're going to bring you two games with this matchup since the first one is so quick and we wanted to showcase the deck list a little bit just in case you were thinking of building it. The next game will be published soon. I win the die roll this game and this is my starting hand. Saltmarsh, Muldrifter, Spinal Embrace, Tressorhorn Sinks, Swamp, Conquering Manticore, Bloodthrone, Vampire. Josh keeps a hand of Mountain, Swamp, Ponder, Windfall, Thrin, Dynamo, Cold Steel Heart, Heartless Summoning. And Nancy keeps a starting hand of Forest, Elvish Mystic, Secure Tribe Elder, Duplicant, Arbor Colossus, Woodfall, Primus. I start by playing Saltmarsh. Josh starts by playing Island into Ponder, rearranging and drawing. Nancy plays Forest, and of course plays her first turn Elvish Mystic, ensuring a turn 2 Commander. I play Tressorhorn Sinks. Josh plays Swamp and casts Heartless Summoning, ensuring a turn 3 Nekusar. Nancy plays 1 Forest, casts Azusa, plays 2 more Forests, and casts Secure Tribe Elder. It's turn 2, by the way. On my turn, I play Swamp and cast Chasm Skulker. Josh plays Mountain and does cast his commander. On her turn, Nancy draws an additional card and takes 2 damage. Nancy plays Windswept Heath, breaks it, paying a life and getting a forest out of her deck. Nancy then casts Arbor Colossus and attacks me for 1 with Azusa. I draw 2 and lose 2, and add 2+1 counters to Chasm Skulker. Thanks, Nekusar. I cast Bloodthrone Vampire and play Vivid Creek. It comes in with 2+1 counters. I then attack Josh for 3 with the Squid Horror. Josh takes 3 damage, putting everyone to 37. Josh draws 2 cards on his turn, plays Graven Cairns, and casts Thran Dynamo, and taps it to cast Cold Steel Heart. When it comes in, Josh names Blue. Nancy again draws 2 and loses 2. She plays Myriad Landscape and Forest, and then taps 8 mana to cast Woodfall Primus. The Tree Folk blows up Josh's Super Soul Ring. Nancy then attacks me for 6 with Arbor Colossus. I draw 2 and lose 2, growing my squid. Okay. I cast my commander and then dethrone Josh, adding counters to my creatures. Josh takes 8 damage. Post-com, I play Vivid Marsh and then pass. On his turn, Josh draws 2 and loses 2 when he plays an untapped Blood Crypt. He then casts Soul Ring and then casts Inferno Titan, dealing 3 damage to Marchesa, killing him. With this Magic player currently holding 7 cards in hand, Josh then casts Windfall, discarding all our cards and drawing everyone a brand new grip. Nancy and I both take 7 damage from Nekusar, and Chasm Skulker gets so many bigger. Josh then passes. Nancy draws 2 cards during her draw step and loses 2 life. Nancy plays Crucible of Worlds and plays Windswept Heath out of her graveyard. How does she always get these cards? Despite having the sack land, Crucible, and Azusa, Nancy decides to play 2 more lands out of her hand instead. Just showing off, I guess. Nancy then casts Green Sun Zenith for 8. We assume she's going for Creative Behemoth to either kill us both now or close to it, only to find that Behemoth isn't in her deck. Lucked out on that one. She instead gets something almost as horrific with Vorinclex, Voice O Hunger. The O apostrophe makes it slightly less horrific. Nancy then attacks Josh with 2 6/6s. Josh does not block and loses 12 life. Nancy passes. I draw 2, lose 2. I play Mountain and recast Marchesa. I then dethrone Nancy, who blocks with Azusa. I discard on my end step. Josh draws 2 cards and starts his turn by going for the throat of Vorinclex, killing the removal magnet. Josh casts Talisman of Indulgence and Graveborn Muse. Josh contemplates combat for the purpose of incinerating Marchesa again, but ultimately decides against it and instead passes his turn. Nancy, draw step, draw 2, lose 2. Josh tries to flash in Notion Thief during Nancy's draw phase until he is reminded that Heartless Summoning will actually kill it if he does. Josh decides not to do that. Nancy recasts her commander and then casts Titania, Protector of Argoth. Are you kidding me? Nancy returns Windswept Heath with Titania and then plays Yavimaya Hollow from hand. She sacks the land, paying a life and getting an elemental, and then replays the Heath. She does that same thing again, paying a life and making another elemental. She then attacks me with her 2 big creatures. I start by sacking my Chasm Skulker. To my Bloodthrone Vampire, I trigger Marchesa's ability when the Skulker dies, as well as make 15 mini squids. I then block Woodfall Primus with the Vampire and the Arbor Colossus with a squid. I sack 2 more squids to pump the Vampire to 8/8, so it survives the attack and I take no trample damage. Nancy regenerates her Primus with her Yavimaya Hollow. I return Chasm Skulker to the battlefield at the end of Nancy's turn. I draw, lose life, add counters to the Skulker, but sadly don't untap any lands. I do the only thing I can do, go to my attack phase. I have to attack Nancy to get the Dethrone triggers, which I do, attacking her with everything. In response to the attack, Nancy pays 2 mana and sacks her Mirrored Landscape to get 2 forests and make another elemental for another blocker. Nancy blocks each of my non-token creatures with her token creatures and my tokens with her non-token creatures. All kinds of trades take place and I let my creatures go to the yard while triggering Marchesa's ability on all of them. Nancy takes 20 damage from unblocked squids, going to 1 life. I also get 3 squid tokens when the Chasm Skulker dies. Nancy better find a way to deal with Nekusar before her turn. I play Crumbling Necropolis post-combat main, triggering Marchesa's ability on my end step, returning creatures and discard at the end of my turn. At the beginning of his turn, Josh loses 2 life to Graveborn Muse and draws a total of 4 cards. No longer concerned with Nancy's board, Josh finds a way to deal with me. He starts by casting Diluvian Primordial, exiling Slave of Bolas and casting it on Marchesa. In response, I sack Marchesa to Bloodthrone Vampire and then send it back to the command zone. Nancy has nothing in her yard for the Primordial. Josh casts Bloodgift Demon and Solemn Simulacrum, getting a land. Josh attacks me with Graveborn Muse, Inferno Titan, and Nekusar. Inferno Titan shoots Chasm Skulker and 2 squid tokens. I sack all 3 of those creatures to Bloodthrone Vampire, making it a 7/7 and blocking Inferno Titan. I also block the zombie with my untapped squid. Josh pumps the Titan with his only remaining red mana for fun, I guess, and the Titan dies. I take 1 damage from unblocked Nekusar. Nancy totally dies on her turn with no response to Nekusar. I cast Unspeakable Symbol on my turn, just in case I need it, and then cast Active Aggression, taking control of Diluvian Primordial. I then attack Josh with all my creatures, dealing him enough damage to kill him. Chasm Skulker turned out to be the real card of the match here. It was phenomenal. Although to be fair, Josh casting Windfall was a complete fluke, and the Marchesa deck proper does not have a way to draw a massive amount of cards at once, but it still fits the counter theme of the deck. Nancy once again got her Azusa, Crucible, Titania, and a Sackland combo, and if she would have survived 1 more turn, I don't think Josh and I would have. All it would have taken from Josh would have been 1 Massacre Worm or a tutor for it, and the game would have been his. One thing I quickly learned about this deck is that it does much better when Marchesa is on the field. If you can find a way to put counters on her immediately out the gate, you will be in much better shape. The funny thing is, I think I only played like 5 or 6 spells that game, something like that. Which is why we played a rematch right after this game, so you can see more of the deck in action.